Hi everyone, Miki Jacobs here. Thanks for joining Angel Chat. I appreciate it as always. Also, I greatly appreciate the emails that you're sending me about the information changing your life. It truly does mean a lot to me that you don't only listen but rather apply the guidance to your day-to-day life and experiences. So I greatly appreciate it, and I thought I'd let you know that it does make me super happy. And although I try to return all my emails, sometimes it might take some time for me to return email, but don't give up. If you have any remark or have any question regarding one of the topics, then continue to ask and send it over, because it is always appreciated. Thank you. Today we're going to talk about fear of death. I sometimes get inspired to do topics with what it is that I see in my work, as well as spiritual message, which I just finished one talking about car accidents that I see a lot of people unfortunately cross over with accidents in the road. And I decided to talk about fear of death because I do see a lot of people that now more than ever kind of keep thinking about death or dying, whether it is for themselves or their loved ones. So I'll talk a little bit about it and give a little bit of tips if you do experience unusual than normal. I mean, we all obviously somewhat fearful of the unknown. When we're going to leave planet Earth, when our loved one going to leave planet Earth, more specifically, how are we going to suffer, what's going to happen. So we all have that built-in fear about being human being living here, but some people have it more than others, where it's really affect their life, where you always think about it. I see people that become nervous every headache they get, or every pain, that this is it, something gonna happen again, whether them or more commonly to kids that they have. So obviously, first and foremost, it's important to remember, of course, the concept of leaving planet Earth, that the death, the way, the manner of death, as well as the divine timing of death, is indeed pre-designed by the soul prior to entering the body. And the way the soul planet has to, meaning how we die and the time of death, have to, like any other major experiences, which death is an experience, I suppose, part of the experience. The last one, nonetheless, has to do with growth. How would be the best suit the soul to exit planet Earth? If the soul think a cancer would be best suiting for it to exit planet Earth, whether it is the process of the illness, the kind of cancer, would suit other people growth, as well as medical industry or any other thing that has to do with why that specific cancer, then indeed that would be included as to the manner of death. As to the time of death, in the same way that we enter planet Earth, which is very, very precise, then of course also to when it is that we die. So why, I know I mentioned it previously in other topic, why is it important to bring it up? Because if you, again, being spiritual, rely on spiritual concept, which is one of them, important, nonetheless, one of them is you able to somewhat know that the death is within the life, meaning this is part of what's going to happen, whether it is 80 years old, 18, or midlife, like myself, 50. So when you accept it, when you take that in consideration, that the soul, not your soul, our soul, not my soul, not only design when to enter planet Earth, but also when to exit, that there is somewhat a little bit more ease to be able to let the concept know, because you know that you are here for a reason. Your soul entered this life for that specific life that you experiences for a reason, and therefore the death also is part of that plan. So I found that once again, if you are spiritual about life as well as about death, then it somewhat lessen the fear of death or of dying. It's able to allow you to kind of like practice a bit more surrender about it, instead of the mind drilling on that fear. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind. Obviously, as we discussed in previous topics, planet Earth is risky. So you also have to make sure that you watch over your life. You're not reckless. You're not acting silly and stupid. Want to make sure that you are respecting your life, live life to the fullest, yet make sure that you allow as much as you can anything that can cover your basic, meaning keep yourself healthy, keep yourself safe, help spirits, specifically guardian angel that tend to help us in life, to watch over you, to protect you. So care about your life. Once you know that you cover the basic of caring about your life, watching over yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, then obviously in the combination of surrender at the time of death, whenever years your soul is supposed to be here, that is how it's going to happen. So the combination of the two is the best case, the best scenario as to how you can overcome fear of death between the two. Also, like with any other spiritual topic, like with grief, if I, for example, compare grieving parents that are spiritual and grieving parents that are not spiritual, then obviously the grief process is helpful, or rather faster, to the people that are, to the family that is spiritual. The same thing with that, as we mentioned. If you're spiritual, if you look at your life from the perspective of the soul, learning every major event experiences that you're going through has to do with anything that contribute to your soul awareness, to your growth, then again, life itself is simply part of that plan that obviously it's inevitable. So the more you grow, the point of that information, that continue to grow, continue to work on your spiritual awareness and discipline your mind, because that ultimate fear of death that we're talking about today can really suck you in, meaning it's kind of like a snowball, and if you allow it to be without the discipline of spirituality, as we just mentioned, then it will indeed get bigger, which why I brought up the example about people that I see that have a little bit of fear, and the more they feed it, the more they think about the fear, which how it gets fed, the bigger it's become, and then everything worrying them, and then the family, and then the kids, and anything become even more out of their control, and they really consume with that fear of death. And the more spiral that fear of death become, the harder it is to climb up, of course, like with any fear. So discipline it by immediately, if you realize a lot of people also lose someone they love, specifically with something that perhaps unexpected, such an accident, then the tragedy shake their own fear of death. So even if they were not fearful before, any tragedy, any experience that consider heartbreaking, that has to go to grief, reflect on them, and that's when they get fearful, where in fact we each one of us have a completely different journey from one another, because the lessons are different. The spiritual awareness where we stand different from one another. You have a different journey than your kids. As you've heard me say before, those are not your kids. Their soul, whom you have a contract with, to be their father, to be their mom, to be their sibling, to be their grandparents. So those are not your kids. They have their own soul, their own journey, their own lesson. and their own time of death. So if you think too much, obviously when they're young, you'll be able to perhaps, maybe for very few short years, watch over them as much as you can, and you might think that you can avoid the pre-designed death, but obviously it is there. And as the years go by, naturally you'll be able to detach from you'll have to detach more and more from your kids. Then you're going to really need to work on the fact that those kids are soul, and they're powerful, and they're wise, and they're not alone in the same way that me and you are not alone, of course. So, so to overcome fear of death or dying, meaning the process, sometimes people say, I don't mind to cross over, I'm not just nervous how it's going to happen. Well, we don't know how it's going to happen. It's going to happen how your soul planned it to happen, to the precise manner and the precise time, as we mentioned. Other than if you, of course, cause the death, which is possible on planet Earth, because there are indeed real accidents, as I call them. So let go. Trust. Trust that you loved and protected. Trust that your soul knew what it's doing as to why you're here for the amount of year. And trust that you cannot control that specific fear. You cannot do anything about it. It's inevitable, not in a bad way, in a good way. And trust that when you leave this planet, it's a better place. And it's not a cliche things that people say we're going to a better place. We are indeed going to a better place. We are indeed going back home. And then we don't miss planet Earth. So now we think, oh my God, we don't want to leave it. But when I channel souls, they have no interest on going to planet Earth. Obviously, eventually, we do get into another incarnation. But the split second when the soul exits the body, and we recall, we got the spiritual amnesia, as I call it, back to the memory of the soul. We do not miss planet Earth, and we take it for what it is, just a temporary school, obviously. So I hope that would help you if you think that you kind of over-consume with a fear of death or dying, and if you're not the one and you know someone that will, help them. Send them over to the video or transfer the information to them yourself. Thank you very much. I hope that helped you in your life a little bit in that specific topic. Again, I appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.